This conference will now be recorded.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6 o'clock on Tuesday, February 6th, 2024. I'll call this council meeting to order here in the Winnipeg office. I respectfully acknowledge we are on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, Assiniboine, Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous and Métis communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. I would like to add that I remind all residents that our meetings are available on video on our website. Delegations can be scheduled through our CAO. Emails can be sent and phone calls can be made to any one of us to get facts on any issue or to register your concerns. We may not always agree on the issues, but I believe we've done our best to remain respectful in our dealings and dialogues with residents, and we would appreciate the same treatment. Introductions around the table. On my very far right.
Hello, I'm Graham Randall.
Erwin Krumka.
Penny McMorris.
Lon Turner. Steve Axworthy.
And Councillor Chadsey is on holiday. Lucky guy. All right, thank you, gentlemen. So we have a motion to adopt the agenda. Be it resolved, the agenda be adopted as presented.
I'll move that.
Thank you, Graham. Second. Steve, thank you. Any additions, gentlemen?
Not this time.
All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. It's nice to have more company at the table. It's nice to see people here in person, and thank you for coming. The minutes of the January 23rd, 2024 regular meeting of council have been circulated. Be it resolved, the minutes of the January 23rd, 2024 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second. Graham, thank you. Any comments on the minutes?
I've read them and they appear to be in order.
All right.
Agreed.
All right. Hearing nothing further, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. All right. We have 2 delegations tonight. A reminder that we ask you to stick to 10 minutes if possible. First one up is Laura Jones. Laura, are you with us? She was here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can. Yes, we can see you.
Thanks very much. Thank you so much. I sent to each of you some comments on the draft terms of reference today. So hopefully you will have received them, and I don't want to take time going through every comment, but I would like to say that obviously a lot of thought has been put into it so far, and that's good. And I do have questions and comments and recommendations. I think that there is more thought needed for an effective terms of reference to really help to support council in your goal of effective shoreline management, comprehensive beach and shoreline management. And I encourage you to take the opportunity to clarify roles and different expectations and different support functions that the committee might offer you before you go ahead and finalize the terms of reference. I'm somewhat prepared here. Somewhat. Okay, so essentially I'm asking that you would table this to further consider, but I'll get into why right away. But I think that it would be wise for you as a group to think about what specific assistance the RM needs in order to realize comprehensive shoreline management and beach management, and then for you as a group to spell these out in the terms of reference so that your incoming committee can dive into work really supporting the municipality where help is needed the most.
Okay.
In terms of the role as outlined, it was a bit fuzzy for me. I wasn't too sure of what the actual role of the committee would be, and it came across that the committee would have the role of responsible shoreline and beach management, whereas my understanding is that this is the RM's role and the council's role, the municipality's role. So I think that's really important to make that clear. That the committee's role would be to support you in getting there, that it's not their role to get there. Application of laws and consultation requirements, providing approvals and setting conditions are all, from my understanding, a municipal obligation. And so it seems in the terms of reference that some of these functions are up to the committee that should be supporting you and supporting the decision making, but not making the decisions themselves. The committee can and should provide you, from my perspective, a list of important considerations that you can consider for your own decision making. And I provided you in my email some different suggestions of ways to get this from the committee, if that's something that you'd like from them, is a list of considerations after they've evaluated different project proposals or investigated solutions towards items raised in the Baird report. So beyond the role, a second important foundational piece, I think, to address in the terms of reference is the scope. So although the scope laid out in the draft is admirable for sure, from my perspective, it's too broad to be effective and it's too vague to be in fact meaningful. And when I say it's too broad to be effective, we've recognized that taking an all or nothing approach to shoreline management hasn't worked to date. So if we're waiting on a solution that effectively addresses beach preservation, shoreline erosion, and private property protection, environmental impacts, aesthetics, and affordability/feasibility, to date, we have not been able to come up with one solution that's been able to accomplish all 5 of these pieces. Not even the Connaught pilot proposal that was executed effectively, but that was supplemented with insurance money from my understanding. I think that this was the intention of the Baird report, was to have comprehensive shoreline management, but it missed the mark on affordability and feasibility. So if we're going to, as a municipality, require for any initiatives to meet all 5 of these marks, I think we all know that we're going to be stalled. And to date, we've never found one initiative that has been able to meet all these marks. And what we'll need to do if we're not an all or nothing approach hasn't worked for us to date, we need to recognize that different initiatives should be encouraged and should be complementary. They may not meet all the 5 marks. I'm sure that they won't, because none have to date. But if they could be targeting different areas of beach management and shoreline management, and if we can encourage complementary measures, then I think that we'll be making progress. And it certainly makes sense to evaluate how a project might impact overall shoreline management and beach management. But I would suggest that that be a part of the evaluation, but that any proposals brought forward should also be assessed on their own merit and not be disregarded because they can't meet all 5 measures. We need to start making some progress and encourage complementary measures, from my perspective, or else we won't get anywhere. I also think that laying out these 5 factors, I don't know if it disregards it, but it doesn't acknowledge that the first consideration for any works application is always the law, right? So any municipal decision making around proposals, decisions, and actions are based first on the law, and that would be the municipality's role, not a committee's role to evaluate. And it's important that we all, as a community and as a committee, whoever your committee is, and the RM itself keeps that in mind, that the first consideration is always the law. So that's the breadth piece. And the second part on scope is I found that the scope was kind of vague. And in order to be helpful, I think that I work in government and I'm all too familiar with non-committal language. And when we talk about exploring and investigating things, it's valuable and we can show that we've explored and investigated things, but we've done that for a number of years here in the RMVB. And I think we need to move past this space of exploring and investigating. And if you could lay out for the committee what actual expectations would be in terms of what you want to accomplish and how you'd like them to help you to accomplish that, that would be very valuable and very helpful for yourselves and the community. Something that, like the two main barriers that I see, that I've seen to making progress are the all or nothing mentality or approach. And secondly, finances. Like we've had a number of ideas that have come up that haven't been feasible, haven't been affordable when some, complementary measures, even for the King Edward Alexandra proposal, some funds were raised by private cottage owners to part of a solution. It was only part of the solution. The RM put conditions on yourself to enact more parts of a comprehensive shoreline management solution, being to supplement with sand nourishment and also to conduct monitoring. So this is positive, but even the sand nourishment, there's concern in the community. How is this going to be funded? So I suggest that you put the committee to work on securing funds for some of these solutions, whether they could do it themselves. They have a subcommittee who can help to raise funds that are needed for shoreline management. And equally with monitoring, that's a big concern that's come up over and over again. And it's been a recommendation since, I don't know, the 2010 reports, as far back as 2010, to do monitoring. So perhaps the committee could assist with having a community monitoring subcommittee or initiative. So to give you some practical things that are needed from the community to get shoreline management going and to move beyond exploring and investigating, but into action. Another piece that I thought I was a bit concerned about was the frequency of meetings of 4 times per year. And if realistically the RM is going to refer projects to a committee for review, I don't know how they would be able to help you to make decisions if they're meeting 4 times a year. There was a note about the potentially having it more frequently. But I'd suggest if you're looking to this committee to help you to make decisions on project applications, that you set out a time frame for after a project application is received. We're looking for important considerations from you within a certain time frame so that you can go ahead and make decisions. The RM is the body that's really responsible for timeliness of approvals. And so I suggest you set out some timelines for the committee to help you to meet those and to take their important considerations into account. So those are some of the examples. I provided suggestions by email that you're all welcome to review. I do think that it's a really good opportunity to get some needed support. This is a huge endeavor and undertaking, and we all know that and we've seen it. And in order to help put more heads together to solve this problem and to get you the support that you need to make progress and make well-informed decisions, I think that you should lay things out pretty clearly in your terms of reference, what type of support you're looking for, and also the division of roles between the municipality and the committee serving in a support function.
Okay, good points. Thank you. You said you had some questions. Your 10 minutes is up, but do you have questions, or does council have questions for Laura?
It was very thorough and it pretty much touches on everything that she sent out.
My only, I guess, outstanding question would be about the division of the committee and why it seems that there's more representation from areas where impacts from erosion have been less severe since 2010. And so I was wondering if that was intentional or if the council had thought about that at all in terms of having it split so that there were 3 members from reaches 9 to 12 and 3 members that were non-lakefront. If there's any input on that, and also I mean, from my perspective, this committee wouldn't make approvals, wouldn't grant approvals because that's not really appropriate. So I'm not too worried about voting powers because I think that they would be giving you considerations, which anyone could give you those. But I am wondering about why the 3-2 with potentially less severe impacts from erosion and more severe, or if that was considered.
It was considered by me, Laura. I can't speak for the rest of council, but each of our beaches are unique and each one of them have their own unique characteristics, right? I mean, Irwin's in Albert Beach, they have a dike. Graham's in Wanasing, they have a dike, but they also have rock protection. Around the north end, there's an awful lot of individual work that's been done on the shoreline. You go down the Sandy Bay side, there's nothing until you get to Macaulay McCord, and there's just general rocks, but no revetments that I'm aware of. And then you get to our area, and then you get to, Bayview, which has protection. Then you get to Pelican Point, which has protection. But that doesn't mean they're not going to need work in the future. So I just think we can't focus on one area. This is not a vehicle restricted area committee. This is a municipal committee. So I think it's really important to get representation from others. Graham?
Well, I've suggested in my email to council that the makeup of this committee should at least try to replicate the demographics of our population. By far, the majority are non-lakefront. And that should at least be represented, perhaps with a majority of 1, which is why I've recommended that we go with 7 members of the committee, 2 of whom are non-voting, the engineer and the council representative.
Yeah.
That gives 5 voting members, 3 of not everybody can get together all the time. Erwin and I are working on a primary member and a secondary member, which I think council will find favor with. But 3 would form a quorum. But I respect the fact that there's not going to be a balanced representation because the vast majority of our residents are non-lakefront.
I'd just like to, first of all, begin by thanking you, Laura, for your detailed review and your learned comments. I'd also like to thank the VBCOA for their comments. And I think at the end of the day, we just need a bit more time to absorb this material and give it some serious thought, because the shoreline is clearly, a very, very important aspect of Victoria Beach. And we need some feedback from the community, some learned study to be done, and have that committee come back with some recommendations. They will not be able to make decisions, but they will be able to influence council and build a beginnings of a consensus within the community. Because goodness knows, we know what's happening to the community right now. It's being split, and that's sad. But again, thank you, Laura, for your efforts. Thank you to the VBCOA for their efforts. let's put it on the table for a while and sleep on it.
But that's further down the agenda. Steve, do you have any comments for
Erwin
Laura?
basically just said exactly what I was
All
going to say. Almost word for word, actually.
All right.
What do you read?
Yeah, I mean, we heard from you, Laura, today. We got your email, I think, last night or today. We heard comments from the BBCOA
Just recently.
yesterday and or today, so we've got a bit to review. I was telling Lon earlier, I was here for the first iteration of the Shoreline Advisory Committee in 2011. One of the council members put it together. It was reviewed by council. The committee went ahead. We all had our input. The committee was formed 2017. It was put together by a council member, terms of reference, and discussed around the council table. We went ahead. But as you mentioned, it's time to move forward, and perhaps getting all this input is a very helpful way to help us move forward and maybe get some things done through this committee.
Well, I think we're agreed to table this rather than come to a final decision at this meeting, because we have more information to review and proposals to consider. I don't mean to suggest for a moment that there's no sense of urgency. We got to get this up and running as soon as is reasonably possible, but let's take the time to do it right. And to my way of thinking, and I believe my esteemed colleague Erwin agrees, we'd like a little more time to formulate our decision.
Steve?
I was only going to just add that Erwin's managed to find some really great information on just how shoreline issues are sort of being dealt with in other places in the province, and like the process by which he's found would really benefit this a lot, as well as council's decision moving forward. I still have issues that was brought up in the last meeting, which is trying to find some sort of balance between lakefront and backlot. But I think that can all be discussed as we go forward.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura. Thanks for coming and joining our meeting from somewhere on the West Coast, I believe.
Yeah, thanks from Fruitvale.
Okay.
Thanks
All
for your
right.
time and consideration.
Thank you.
There is actually one last thing I'll just add, though, is that because it's come up a couple times that there's concern that not all of the committee members would be able to all meet. But I mean, we have
There's
Laura
virtual.
here, and yeah, we have virtual now,
Yeah.
and that is one of the big differences compared to the last time that we did it. So there's really almost no reason why they shouldn't be able to get together. I mean, there's issues.
There's always
More
good.
frequently than 4 times.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
More reliable.
Yep.
It would seem to me it also would be project driven. If something specific comes on that
Yeah.
a particular group wants to do something, then at the call of the chair, the committee, could meet as on a demand basis.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Laura. All right. Up next, we have Roger Gateson to talk to us about the Boreal Shores Art Tour. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. I'm Roger Gateson. My wife and I have a cottage at 305 4th Avenue in the restricted area. We are there about 7 months of the year. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of the Boreal Shores Art Tour tonight. I'll be brief, but I'll also be upfront. We're looking for support. The Boreal Shores Art Tour is a self-guiding tour of artist studios in homes or cottages or rented group sites such as the social scene. Perhaps you've seen one of our brochures or our posters about the beach and identify from those. That might be helpful. It was incorporated as a nonprofit in 2016 and has been developed mostly by a very devoted team of volunteers. Since the first tour in 2017, it has grown in the number of participants, sites, and popularity with the public. And this growth has prompted us last year to hire a part-time coordinator to assist our small army of volunteers. And that coordinator was paid for by a private donation in the first year. I believe we have a government grant to cover it this year. The future, of course, remains unknown. You're used to living in that land. The tour encompasses the area from Falcon Lake through the White Shell, up the Winnipeg River, to Pinnawong, Lac Du Bonnet, St. George, Pine Falls, East Beaches, and Victoria Beach and Sandy Bay, offering the work of some 35 artists for view. Last year in VB itself, there were 8 artists in 4 private cottages and in the East Beaches social scene. Though registrations are not complete, the number is expected to increase probably to 10 or more this year. The purpose of the Boreal Shores Art Tour is to showcase the work of artists living and working in the local areas encompassed by the tour. You have to be living in one of those areas or have a cottage there and be there prominently in order to join the tour. It's for enjoyment of the local art. It's for exposure of these artists and as well to assist them with sales. During the 5 tours that it has offered, we had a 2-year break because of COVID. Over 19,000 visitors have come and experienced the tour. Some of them the whole tour, some of them just parts of it, traveling either north to south along the route or south to north. It's your choice. And I'd invite you to come this August 17th and 18th for all or part of the tour, particularly if you haven't experienced it yet. Anyway, 25 to 35% of tour stops are located right in Victoria Beach. We take some statistics as accurately as we can, and we've concluded 25 to 35% of tour stops are located in Victoria Beach, and 40% of the total tour visits come to VB sites. So our percentage is quite high. That's over 1,000 visits over a 2-day weekend. Some come just to enjoy the art, but in 2023, there was about $10,000 worth of artwork sold in VB alone. In the process, visitors also support area businesses, purchasing gas, meals, staying in local accommodations. They contribute to a healthy local economy, and local businesses are very appreciative. And we've had great cooperation and support from them in terms of publicity, for one. The municipality of VB has contributed to the tour in the past, though not recently, and I'm hoping that you'll consider changing that this year. Personally, my wife and I have welcomed between 300 and 400 visitors over the weekend in each of the 4 years that we've participated. About 200 a day, not quite. It's wonderful to see the enjoyment that people have in coming to Victoria Beach, in seeing the work of local artists, and in enjoying the community. And it's surprising, but often for the first time. People are very interested in having this way in, I guess. Permanent and seasonal residents frequently attend, and some bring guests who take their purchases and their positive memories of VB home with them. The Boreal Shores Art Tour is partly about commerce, for sure, but it also creates tremendous goodwill towards the community and promotes recreational and cultural richness, and promotes the recreational and cultural richness to be found there. People on the tour discover and appreciate what we've known, I guess, all along, or at least we came to know, the widely varied opportunities found in our community. And I started to list them, and I won't go through them all because the list is long, but we think of golf, tennis, sailing, soccer, baseball, the Moonlight Inn, the Village Green Bakery, Saffy Store, dances and movies at the community club, Summer Winds Festival, swimming, beaches. Well, you're working currently very hard to protect the beaches, so we know how important they are. But this is all the varied life at Victoria Beach. This is a fabric that we've woven there at Victoria Beach. And kudos to council for the work that you've done in supporting these many different endeavors. We on the tour are working hard to raise the profile of artistic endeavors as part of this fabric. And we're asking for the council's moral support and financial support in the amount of $1,500 to help fund the 2024 tour. This funding will help cover critical items such as the design and printing of the brochure, the renting of community spaces, insurance, roadside signage, and the contract of our part-time coordinator. Our financial statement and budget, which I believe you have copies of there, I think show a pretty careful stewardship of resources. We list our supporters and sponsors both in our brochures and in large poster boards that go up in each location along the tour. And we'd be so proud to once again see RM of Victoria Beach appear as a supporter alongside the other municipalities that contribute. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you, it should be noted that the parking lot also provides free parking for the
Yes,
tour
they
that
have
weekend,
done
don't
that.
they?
Yes, they have. Kevin's been very gracious about that. It started, I think, with one or two people inquiring, and it's kind of grown, and I don't know whether he'll ring the bell on that one of these days or not, but he's been very supportive. Yes.
And I remember when it first started, I think we made a donation.
I believe so.
And I remember attending the inaugural event. It was the night or two before this thing started, and it was in Lac Du Bonnet. And they said, hopefully we will not need to ask communities for any further funds after the first year. But then there was COVID.
Yeah.
And then, things happen and costs go up. And so, yeah.
I think, just as a comment on that, I think one of the things that we really tried to do, well, first thing I guess is to keep costs down, for sure. But we've really not cut any corners. We've tried very hard to make the signage appropriate and respectable looking. We've tried to keep the brochure professional. We've tried to do a first-class effort, and that does take money, for sure. But if you look at the budget, I think you'll see it's pretty lean, actually, considering what's accomplished.
Any comments, questions, gentlemen?
No. I thought last year that we did donate, obviously we didn't, but.
I can't remember.
and-
I'd have to look at our grants
a-
budget.
Finance thing, I don't know why we would have stopped.
Maybe you didn't request funding last year, I don't think, or
May
did you?
not have. We joined it in 2018.
Right.
But weren't involved in terms of promoting it or producing it in any way for the first couple of years, and only began that last year. So I can't speak to those years.
Your 2024 budget mentions $7,500 in municipal government grants. Does that include the $1,500 that you're asking us for?
I honestly don't know.
So it might just be wishful thinking.
It
Are you able,
probably is.
are you
It
able
probably
to
is a wish.
are you able to share with us the contributions you're getting from other municipalities?
I don't have up-to-date figures on that for this year.
No problem.
But the 2023 budget said they received 4,800 in municipal grants.
Yep.
We haven't given anything
We
the last
haven't?
3 years.
Right, okay.
Okay, but just so that
2023,
we need to be clear on your ask. That's always the issue.
well, the ask is 1,500.
You'll take
We
more.
leave it to you to decide if it should be more or perhaps less. I don't know.
We'll raise another bill rate or two.
The municipality of Lac Du Bonnet contributed last year. This is Pinawa Development Corporation, the town of Pine Falls, RM of Reynolds, RM of Whitemouth. And Winnipeg River Arts Council, that's different.
Yeah.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, our budget, our second round, I guess, second session of budgets is coming up on the 17th of February. So
We'll put you on the
we'll
list.
put you on the list.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Robert. All right, so thank you very much. So moving on to the accounts and finances. And Ian is not here. So be it resolved, the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Checks 11966 to 11990 in the amount of $23,783.77. January credit card charges of $2,911.59. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you. I reviewed the accounts. They were pretty short this week.
It's a light month.
A light month.
Yep.
I too did review them and nothing unusual.
I
Like
don't,
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see anything untoward in this. It looks fine to me.
Steve, any comments?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Business is rising as needed, nothing there. Okay, so new business, the Shoreline Advisory Committee terms of reference. We do have a resolution here, but I'm hearing from our discussion and our presentation with Laura and what we received from the BBCOA. Not to also forget that we have received information from a couple other residents on this.
Right?
I'm hearing that council would like time to review these comments and recommendations. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you would be okay with tabling this resolution until, well, we'll bring it back up next time and
Yep.
do you think? Or would you like to?
Well, perhaps we need to have a meeting of council to discuss the suggestions. Just tabling it for 2 weeks or a month really doesn't accomplish anything unless we create some sort of a working group to
Well,
go through it.
We'll be together on the 17th. The next council meeting's on the 20th.
17th is budget day, right?
Yes.
All day.
But we could set aside some time to discuss it. In the meantime, it'll give us all more time to go through the detailed presentations that were made.
Yeah, we can do it individually and then we can come together on that time with all of our recommendations on the table, so we don't have to worry about the verbiage. Because, yeah, the budget day is always so much fun.
I know, but going back and forth by email, it just, things
It
get
takes
lost,
it out.
right? And
Although,
it's not as effective,
as I
but
said, I have access to my emails. Finally.
Oh dear, does that mean we're gonna get a lot more?
Oh, he's gonna be,
It's coming.
Well,
All right.
tabling it without an agreement to get together and discuss it,
Yeah.
is going nowhere. So that's what we're
Absolutely.
doing.
Yeah,
So-
so
17th, so let's be
together, like,
prepared
Yeah.
to discuss this for the 17th, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Lauren had some really good comments as well. I noticed, like, when I was going through your email. Yeah, it made perfect sense.
Mhm.
Very good.
Okay, great. So tabled. Thank you. All right, which takes us to the South Connaught custom work application. Whereas high lake waters of 2022 caused further erosion of the shoreline banks on public reserve property controlled by the municipality known as South Connaught Beach. Whereas an erosion review of South Connaught was presented to council on January 9th, 2024 and posted to the municipal website for public review. Whereas a custom work on public property application 2024-001 to place granite boulders for toe protection to prevent erosion of the sand cliffs was received on the 14th of January 2024, and the design was then updated and received and submitted to council on the 23rd of January 2024 and posted to the municipal website for public review. Whereas all material and installation costs for the proposed construction will be paid for by shoreline property owners named in the application. Whereas council heard delegations and received emails from the community in regard to the Connaught South project, stating opposition or concerns of the proposed toe rock protection. Whereas council deems the state of shoreline bank erosion in this area to be severe enough that any future high water storms will erode banks further, reaching the edge or onto private property. Whereas council deems it necessary to allow shoreline property owners to protect their property from theft, fire, flooding, and erosion, therefore be it resolved that the application 2024-001 be conditionally approved based on the following conditions. Applicants will enter into an agreement with the RM to A, ensure the work will be completed to specifications made in the proposal. B, if the work is not completed in full or according to the proposal submitted, the remaining costs to complete the work will be raised through a local improvement levy on the applicant's properties. and the work will be completed by a contractor chosen by council. C, if any part of the completed work done as per the proposal is damaged or misplaced by high waters within 5 years of completion, the costs associated with repositioning the original work done will be the responsibility of the applicants, with funds raised as in 1B by the RMVB or paid directly to the contractor by the applicants as a maximum of $5,000 per applicant. To clarify, D, the RM will pay for engineering oversight of the project, including construction progress and compliance reports, which will be submitted to council for public review. May I have a mover? Irwin, thank you. Second, Graham, thank you. Discussion.
Couple of comments. Excuse me. You will recall at a previous meeting, Laura Jones and Wolf Craft had made a presentation on the proposed development plan for Connaught Beach South. The proponents of the project had hired EngTech to design their project, and Wolf Craft advised council at our January 6th council meeting the drawings would soon be available for council and our ratepayers to review. At that time, I questioned Wolf Craft on whether the drawings would be stamped by a professional engineer, and I was told that the drawings would not be stamped. I questioned Wolf on the issue, and Wolf asked me to put my questions to him in writing, and that this was done. I subsequently received answers to my questions from Mr. Steve Topping of EngTech. After that, council, with the exception of Councillor Axler, who was busy at work, met with Laura Jones, Wolf Craft, and Steve Topping on Monday, January 22nd, to gain a better understanding of the engineering review. I believe council is now comfortable with the scope of work being performed by EngTech as engaged and paid for by the Connaught beachfront property owners. I had a subsequent discussion with Wolf Craft, and I went back to him and I said, can we get some indication from Steve Topping as to the extent of the work that he was engaged to do by the property owners? And this is a statement that he provided to me. The works that are being proposed will improve bank stability and erosion protection for the lake embankment. The proposed works are affordable for the landowners. Best practices and EngTech's experience is being applied to provide an affordable, cost-effective solution that will improve the shoreline embankment. I feel comfortable with suggesting or recommending to my colleagues that we approve the Connaught project.
Okay. Graham, do you have a comment?
No, I think Irwin has expressed my sentiment as well as his.
Okay. I'd just like to add that all of the information on this project is on our website under the resident tab. Click on the resident tab, then you click on the shoreline management tab. And what opens up on the left-hand side is Connaught proposal, King Edward and Alex proposal. As well, there's all the documents, the Baird report, update on the Baird report, etc. There's a governance review up there. There is all the engineer reports from the King Edward and Alexander project as well. So there's lots of information if you need to look at it. And if you can't find it, please let me or the RM know, or anyone, and we will try and get you there. I understand that there's some people in the community who are hoping that we will delay this and not go ahead with this project, who would like us to maybe take some time and see what happens with the King Edward and Alex project. I'm sure the residents who are impacted directly by this project would not like to see us delay it. And it's very similar in scope and size to what was performed on Alex and King Edward.
Actually smaller.
It's smaller? Smaller width-wise, lengthwise.
Lengthwise, yeah, lineal feet
Yeah.
along the beach. The impact on the impacted beachfront properties is much smaller than King Edward, Alexander.
And according to the Baird Shoreline Management Plan in 2014, this area, Connaught South Reach Number 2, was a high priority area for erosion risk and mitigation measures, even more so than King Edward and Alex, and also Patricia. Baird did design a full Baird plan for this reach, and in 2015, it was 3.4 million. So again, this is a compromise solution. It is not the full-blown Baird recommendation, which is not feasible or affordable. I'd like to point out that the Community Shoreline Committee in 2017 was involved in the 4th Avenue Stair project. And that 4th Avenue Stair project involved a revetment, grading the bank and a revetment, and it was the stacked stones that they put in. The committee at the time said, let's try a version of the Baird design to protect the stairs in the bank. So the community committee at that time was willing to do essentially what King Edward has done and Alex property owners have done and what Connaught would like to do, which is to do a partial Baird solution.
With natural stone.
With natural stone, not with the stacked limestone. So the 4th Avenue stairs, just to, if you're not aware, included $12,000 for engineering design. The engineers designed the stairs, the shoreline protection design, and they did project inspections. The stairs themselves, which are probably the nicest stairs in the community, were $60,000. The stacked limestone shoreline protection filter cloth was $85,000. And that was installed by a landscape company from Winnipeg. And insurance paid for $33,000 of the cost, bringing our total, taxpayer total, down to $124,000 for that set of stairs. And 85 of that was for the protection of just the stairs, though, the bank and the stairs. So there was no protection on either side of those stairs. And there was also actually sand replenishment brought in. Sand was brought in at the base of those stairs, and it didn't last. Partly because of the high water, partly because the stairs are almost in the water. So, you know, we are listening. We have been accused of not listening to residents by a few residents. We've been accused of not listening to the delegations that came from King Edward and Alexandra. And I would like to say we did listen. We didn't always agree with what we heard. We did hear many repetitive delegations, much of the same information. But we did hear it, and we did appreciate that residents had those same feelings, those same concerns. But we did listen and we did act on many of the recommendations. We hired a geotechnical engineer to monitor and inspect the project. We started a sand replenishment fund. The amount can be changed.
Yes,
Right? If it's not enough, and I don't think it is enough.
that's right, I agree.
We got legal advice on the agreement between the proponents and the RM. We did reach out to the Baird representative that we worked with in 2013 and 2015. We have sand and soil test results from 2014 on our own sand pit, and it's a good match. That sand hasn't changed. We had a land survey done on Sunset Boulevard to show where it begins and where private property ends. We are discussing with an engineer how to effectively monitor sand requirements on our beaches. We have heard that the financially unfeasible full Baird recommendations should be implemented. We also, I think, realize financially it's impossible. And we did not hear, though, how that would be funded. And there's only two ways that I can see, and that's private property owners or the entire tax base, which would be very expensive. The Baird report agrees that we need to follow the science. Many residents said follow the science. And yet in my conversation with the representative from Baird, he said, with the revetment, this was on the King Edward and Alex project, with the revetment, keeping the footprint as narrow as possible is good. This is not design advice, it's a general observation. Revegetating the bank is a good idea. Nature's free and your friend in protecting against the next weather bomb. Even if they protect with the revetment, perhaps you could still nourish the beach from your inland source. Would that be possible? Yes. And it might help maintain the beach during high lake levels. So even though Baird designed this incredible solution for us, when he reviewed what I sent him, he said, well, you kind of run out of options.
I think it's very important that you do something.
Yeah.
To begin the protection of Connaught Beach. For years and years and years, nothing has been done, and nature's taken its toll. Is it a perfect solution?
No.
It's an affordable, reasonable compromise.
Well, and our approach all along has been, hopefully for the benefit of all property owners in Victoria.
Well, we know they don't all agree with that.
Yes, but the beach is important
Yes,
to
it is.
every member of the Victoria Beach community.
It is the most important asset of Victoria Beach.
Well, we're surrounded by them.
Without the beaches, it wouldn't be there. We wouldn't be there.
I was just wondering if I wouldn't feel comfortable explaining as to why the engineer wouldn't stamp any approved drawings.
The answer that I was given to my question was there are certain engineering standards that are written. And if one wants to do a complete shoreline stabilization program, the engineering requirements require a 50-year plan, a 50-year survival of whatever's been proposed. Quite frankly, that is not an affordable solution. What's being suggested is a reasonable, as it was outlined in my notes, it's an affordable plan that will reduce shoreline erosion. Is it a total guarantee that it'll never happen? That plan is just not affordable. So as I keep using the term, it's a reasonable compromise, but most importantly, it's a step forward.
I noticed in the Red River Planning District information that we've received, in one of their comments, it says a geotechnical report prepared by a certified professional geotech engineer is required and must include the following information: impact of proposed work on neighboring properties, comments on the design of the protection, comments on water control and bank stabilization, a letter of responsibility from the geotech engineer indicating they will review the work, and follow up with a letter of verification upon completion. It does not ask for stamped drawings. It asks for their certified professional recommendations. So we are doing that. We are getting that. And we do have to remember that the engineer, the geotech engineer on the Connaught project is being paid for privately. So he's not reporting to us in that respect. We have a right to know what they're doing, but we're not paying his bill for that project. We need someone to review the project for our perspective, but we're not paying. The private property owners are paying for his expertise.
Well, we will be engaging an engineer to monitor the construction process and make sure that it is completed according to the plans that are made available and are on our website.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So specifically though, inside of this letter, the engineer says that this will reduce,
The likelihood.
the likelihood of that destabilization, and it should enforce the bank to help protect it. So and
From
that's,
erosion.
yeah, from erosion. That's the very first time that I've seen anything from an engineer to say that this project would in fact help.
Well, and the fact that it goes hand in hand with a program for sand nourishment as well.
Yeah.
Or sand replacement, whatever. connotation.
But we
you
made the
wanna put on it.
commitment to begin to fund and set up a reserve fund for sand replenishment as required.
Yeah, my biggest concern is what happens because, with this, they can't guarantee it's gonna last 50 years. That it is most likely gonna be able to last at least 25, maybe it does last the whole 50 years. At some point that revetment is going to start degrading, and who's footing the bill for the repair costs to that? And so that's going to come down either again to the property owners or to the municipality or some version of both. So if this is approved, then there needs to be a plan in place that is either putting money aside, not just for sand replenishment, but also for when this comes back. Because at some point, that bank is going to start to, or the boulders are going to start to wash away, or
They're
what
pretty
have you.
big boulders. I don't think they're gonna wash away, but they can move, right? We've seen the power of Mother
Yeah,
Nature.
like, every time you go down in the summer, there's massive rocks you didn't think could move, and they moved.
But those are the things that council has to deal with on an ongoing basis. We can't predict what's going to happen with nature. And we'll be obviously monitoring it, and we'll have to, this council and future council, those rocks will likely be there long after we're gone.
And let's bear in mind, from the opening lines of the Baird report, they will not, there's no guarantee, even if we have the $3.5 million Baird solution, they refuse to accept responsibility for any damages that might accrue from accepting their advice. That waiver runs all the way through Baird. So there's no guarantee there.
I don't like it, I hate it, quite frankly, but there's a letter from an engineer specifically saying that this is going to help destabilize the bank, and that bank is right on private property. So I would, of course, prefer the Baird report solution, but right now we have this, and an engineer has said that it will actually help to prevent destabilization.
Yeah, you're right. And this is not just any engineer. This is the engineer we worked with on 4th Avenue. And they're very good. They're very knowledgeable. And I think we can have some faith in their advice.
The one thing I would like to say is that I really don't want to see another one of these projects come across our lap until that committee is up and rolling, because it seems to me that the committee should be first and then this. But
We can't, we've delayed.
I understand. I'm just saying I don't want to see another one of these projects come up and we haven't done the committee. So
Yeah.
we have the Lakeshore property owners saying delay and consider what we have to say. We have the backlot owners say delay and consider what we have to say. We have our CAO making very good recommendations throughout, saying, here's some things that we need to consider that we've all said at some point that we need to delay and consider this. So, but regardless, we need to get this thing done before the next one, then consider a project, not the other way around.
I think you're right on, Steve. I agree with that entirely, which is why we don't want to waste any time setting up the committee. But we want to do it right.
Okay. So gentlemen, what we have before us then is a decision to make, and it is another difficult decision. In a perfect world, we wouldn't A, need it, or B, we would be able to implement the full Baird solution. But neither one of those are feasible. We do need something. So I will go around the table. No, I won't go around the table. You've had your say. Anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. All those in favor of the resolution? Carried. Thank you. Yeah.
I know I'm not supposed to say anything, but.
No, you're not.
You have 2 minutes?
No, sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
1
minute?
No, sorry. No,
Okay.
but thank you. Curbside waste collection bylaw. Be it resolved, the curbside waste collection bylaw number 1649 received first reading. May I have a motion? Mover? Steve, thank you. Second? Erwin? Thank you. I had a look at this bylaw. Oh, good grief. We're just wanting people to get a bear-resistant bin. It's like 10 pages long.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, this only just came up yesterday, right?
does it have
Yeah,
to be?
like, we haven't been
I
talking
know,
about
but-
this for 6 years. So.
Does it
I
have to
know,
be this
but-
convoluted?
Honest to goodness, it's 9 pages long.
That's why there's 3 readings. We can edit it a couple more times before we get it the way you like it.
Like, do we have to?
There's,
Go ahead.
no, the reason it's so long, it started out as 15 pages.
Oh,
It's got
my.
down to 6.
Oh, thank you so
9,
much.
oh, yeah, 6, okay, yeah.
So this, most of it is describing the type of garbage the guys will pick up. You know, there's construction, hazardous waste, you gotta define the bear bin, the location on the property, that sort of thing. It can be fine tuned, it can be edited, which we can look at it, have more time over the next couple of weeks. But if it's something that you want to enforce with your residents, you kind of need a bylaw. Otherwise, it's just kind of an operational, pick up the garbage and go.
Yeah.
But if it's something that you want to have follow up with, whatever to
Well, we-
enforce, you need it.
We've agreed that this has been pushed down the road long enough. There's time to draw a line in the sand. And basically, the intent of this is if you want to continue to have your garbage picked up from your front of your house, you have to have a bear-proof bin. Why it takes 6.5 pages to say that, that's something I'd like to think about a little bit. No disrespect to Lon. He's
Yeah,
trying to
I know.
cover all the
I like writing
vagaries
bylaws.
and ambiguities. Maybe this is perfectly all right as it is, but I'd like to study it a little further and see if we could maybe trim it just a little bit. But there has to be a rule, and a rule is only as good as, for every rule, there needs to be penalties for not obeying the rule, and then for penalties, there needs to be enforcement. I think we need to talk a little bit more about enforcement of this. Erwin and I have some ideas. Steve may have some as well. I'd like to give this particular bylaw a little more time to digest.
Let's give it first reading and then we'll
Oh,
have
yeah.
a chance to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Get it on the
Steve,
table.
any comments?
You okay with that?
No, I'm fine. I just want to pass the damn thing already. We talked about it since we got on council. So, but I don't know if everybody got the suggestions that I made for the penalty structure. I know that I spoke with everybody individually.
Yep.
Now that my emails are finally working again, I'll send it out again. But like my effectively what my recommendation was, if I'm remembering correctly, it was $25 for the first offense, $75 for the second. For the third one, it could either be $500 or we just simply buy them a bin and drop it off and charge them for it. And then every offense after that would be $1,000.
Right,
So
but
that way it's just like, it's light, and I'll just do it. And
Yeah,
now
but
it's-
that would require a little more fine tuning of
Yeah.
the bylaw.
Yeah.
But it's for first reading to go up on our website so everybody can review it. I think it's good enough, let's do it.
A good start, great start.
A long start.
Yep.
We need a shorter,
A long
a
start.
long start. There we
Yeah,
go.
right.
uh,
So, Madam Mayor,
All right, so all those in favor of first reading? Well, there you go. All right, Carrie,
Send your
thank
edits
you.
away. And then we're gonna-
And thanks to.
We'll get it down to
Council
2 pages.
Waxman
Yeah.
2 pages, okay? 2 pages?
thanks, Phil.
2 pages is the target for that one? Is
Yes,
that good?
yeah,
Okay.
it's,
for- Fine.
it's got to be readable.
Let's make it like the tax code.
All right, so in light of, okay, the next one is the HR policy on sick, vacation, and banked time. Be it resolved to approve the RMVB policies for sick, vacation, and banked time. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second. Steve, thank you. Lon sent these out. This is basically housekeeping, correct?
It's housekeeping. Every 2 years, you review your policies, mimics the union agreement. We
it's
have pretty
consistent with
close.
our union.
It's just to get everybody on the same page. We would like people to take their vacation time during the year, they earn it, bank time, we would like to take time and not pay it out, just that it's a budget killer doing that.
Yep.
And the sick time, well, it's just,
So
it's
my
more
understanding-
education for everybody, so we're all on the same page. We have
So my
something to
understanding
refer
is there's no changes as
Mm,
So,
A little bit,
significant
a bit of tweaks.
changes.
instead of 40-hour rollover, it went up to 80 on the vacation. That's just 2 weeks. So I mean, that's fine. I think
So
that's fine.
someone is allowed to roll over 2 weeks of
A vacation.
vacation
As
to
opposed
another
100.
year.
Mhm.
Can you carry it on indefinitely?
Well, it's vacation, so I don't want it to build up. So
Yeah.
if you hit the next year, you can't roll over 120, you'd either have to agree to pay out
Right.
Take
40
time.
hours or you take
It's
the
the
pay
limit, yeah,
So it's a maximum accumulation.
80.
at the end of the year.
So it couldn't get to 300 hours.
Right.
No.
So it's use it or
No.
lose it.
That's,
Those
no.
can be killers.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Oh, it looks fine to me.
Steve?
No, I was gonna make a snide comment about talking to the education minister about that.
That's a different meeting. You have to go to the school trustee meeting. All right, any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
All right.
Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. So here we go to our bear resistant garbage bin purchase.
Yep.
Be it resolved to approve the purchase of 100 bear resistant garbage bins in the amount of $32,050 plus applicable taxes.
Can I make one little quick change in
Certainly.
that? Can we make it to read garbage bins in the amount of $26,000 plus applicable taxes and freight? I didn't get a firm freight quote from them before the council meeting, and that
20
might change.
Sorry,
Cost of the bins is $26,000 Canadian, and then you add on your taxes, and then freight charges.
plus
I
applicable
think
taxes
BC is where
and
it's coming
freight.
That's
Yeah.
urban.
Good
Yeah.
catch.
from. Per bin, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And
Anyway,
that's 100 bins.
that's 100 bins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
a reasonable number of these are already spoken for?
just a minute, can I get a mover, please?
Okay,
Steve, thank you.
I'll second it.
Second, Graham. 25, I've got a list from Mike Bartmanovich with 25 people who pre-ordered, if you will. But I have to break the news to them that they pre-ordered at $215 or $250 a bin. And now with freight and taxes, it's going to be more like $315 a bin.
But they could have saved the money by ordering sooner.
Well, they did, but we didn't have them in stock sooner.
Well, is that fair?
Is it fair that we
Incurred an increase.
that we cover the cost? So I just think we'll give them the option and say, look, this is what the new bins will cost. You're on the wait list. Would you still like them? I mean, they're not obligated to buy our bins, right? They can find other bins that meet the requirement, but that's a big jump. That's almost, that's $85 jump in the price of their bin that they thought they were getting.
Would it be appropriate for us perhaps to, use King Solomon's law, split the difference in half? They absorb half, we absorb half.
Just for those 25
Just for those
people.
25? Well, what if I'm 26? You're not going to split my
Oh, we only
cost.
have
Well, you
25.
cut it off right now.
I know, but I mean, I
Just a thought.
don't know. I just think, we didn't implement this program to take a loss.
No.
We implemented it to break even.
Our costs went up in an unexpected way. So it's a flow through.
I mean, for the other bins, we can always charge like an additional $10 to make that difference up. I mean, there
I
are
just
ways.
think,
Does
Well, the difference
does this
no.
discussion need to be on this?
No, it
resolution?
doesn't need to be
The
on this
difference is-
resolution.
That's
All
something that
right,
we can
thank you.
maybe
That's
amend.
another discussion, budget discussion.
Sorry.
Thank you, you're right.
Thank you.
That's why you're here. Yeah. All right, so, but in order to do any of this, we need to purchase some bins.
Right, we can't sell what we don't have.
Correct.
And there might be an increase in demand once the penalties are in place,
But
or
sure,
we hope there will be.
Let me see.
All right, any further discussion on the resolution?
we're just
No.
buying them, not selling.
No, we're not. All right, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And I can tell you, I did look to a company in the States,
Mhm.
and originally they came back with a great price, and then Lon checked, and it was just for regular bins. It wasn't for bear resistant bins.
Did they ever get back to you? though?
They did, and I said, yeah, no, sorry, we can't afford
I
the
didn't
US
see that.
prices.
Yeah.
This will be further down the road. I don't want to detract from the proceedings here, but we may have to more clearly define what what an approved berry-resistant
Yeah.
bid is,
There's
because
a
we're gonna
certain-
get into
about that.
arguments.
Yeah,
We're gonna get into
I'll
arguments.
focus the bylaw to meet what you
Okay,
want.
that's-
There's a
standard.
specific certification. I
Yeah.
forget what it's called, it's like Grizzlies.
Whatever it
something or
is,
other.
we'll hang our
Yeah.
hat on that and
Yeah,
stick to
they
it.
have like a list of several hundred bids that you can get that.
Good.
It's not will withstand a black bear, it will withstand an attack from a grizzly for over an hour.
For about an hour.
Yeah, and if it can withstand a grizzly, it can withstand a black bear.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. Correspondence, information, announcements. Anything come to you that,
I did attend a session with the Eastern Region Interlake Region Health Authority Committee, and there's some issues that are occurring with respect to the proposed training program in Beausejour. There was a meeting yesterday with the government, and I haven't heard the results, but I hope to be able to report on that at the next meeting. Very interesting developments.
this was the training school they were
The
setting
training
up in
school in
Beausejour in
Beausejour.
the old fire hall?
Yes.
That they, right,
To
okay.
make a long story short, the expected costs were going to be about $150,000, and it's probably now in the range of 600.
Oh, my God.
The new building code is just destroying the costs, escalating the costs unbelievably.
Okay.
So, but also some, other interesting, there is a steady flow of new nurses coming into our area. The Interlake Health Authority is working very hard to assimilate them into the communities. And there's a steady flow of professional doctors coming as well. So hopefully, and I also did have some discussions with one of the officers about the practical, not practical, but the nurse practitioners, which I want to share with you.
Right.
So,
Are they using physician's assistants up here yet?
well, that's a
Well,
nurse, that's a nurse practitioner.
No,
Isn't it?
no,
That's
totally
different.
different. That's
Oh,
totally different, yeah. No, a nurse is a nurse, a physician assistant is a different training officer. But similar types of things.
Well,
I was just wondering
I
if
thought
we'd
the
heard
nurse,
that term.
I thought
I
the
thought
nurse
nurse,
practitioner was like an assistant to a doctor.
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
Could be someone in the army, a medic in the army can become a physician assistant
okay.
who's had specialized training and works in that area, but may not be a qualified doctor. Whereas to write a nurse practitioner is a nurse who takes extra courses.
Can
Or
I
become
talk
a
to you
nurse
about that?
practitioner. No, I'm just
Yeah, can he
backing
talk,
on that.
can he talk to you about that after?
No, I'm not talking about something
So you won't talk to him about that?
else. You would have listened to my husband, so I.
You
Oh.
Sally, you know the rules. All right, so thank you. Steve, did you have anything?
I attended a rather lengthy board meeting of the Community Futures Winnipeg River with the annual elections and so on and so on. I'll circulate the minutes on that at the next committee meetings. But Erwin, you had a related seminar coming up in the next week or two that you were thinking of participating in.
Yes, it's the one I'm going to attend on Monday. I'll be reporting on that after attending that. So
Okay,
it's
thank you very
called
much.
a municipal forum.
Yep,
Yeah, I might attend that as well. I can.
good. We look forward to hearing on that.
And there's also a meeting on the municipal insurance program, which I'll be attending.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the AMM in April, which I've mentioned before, and registration isn't open yet, but
Mhm.
April 9th to 11th.
Mhm.
In Brandon. All right, Steve, you're good? Anything? Okay. All right. Be it resolved, the February 6, 2024 regular council meeting now be adjourned. Next meeting will be Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 at 6 PM in BB at East Beach Social Scene, number 3 Atia Road. May I get a mover, please?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Second, Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.